Hi everybody, this class is partly in voice, though I do use a note card reader as well. We're also using a texture board at the front of the class that you can follow along on if you want. You can left click on the Firestorm class notes and first aid kit box at the front here to get the class notes for all of our classes, as well as a few of other goodies. The class notes do get updated semi-regularly, so you may want to grab a fresh copy. These were last updated Monday. If you're having trouble reading the text from the note card reader, you can open your preferences, go to the color tab and change the color for objects to something that's more legible for you. And to adjust voice volumes, you can go to the COM menu and click on Nearby Voice to open the Nearby Voice panel. You can just adjust individual volumes by slider there. So, welcome to our Firestorm Menus 101 class based on our 4.0 FUI release. If you have any questions about the topic we're on, please put them in local chat. Text is best, and we will answer as soon as we can. Please wait until after the class to ask off-topic questions. We're usually around for half an hour or more after the class, answering all sorts of questions. Please note that all menus and submenus will detach and stay open if you click on the double lines at the top of the menu. This makes it much simpler to remember and uncheck anything you happen to click on, either by mistake or just to see what it does. And we're going to start off on the avatar menu. At the top we have account. This will prompt you to open your Second Life dashboard in a web browser. Merchant Outbox. This opens the Merchant Outbox window for direct delivery sales if you're a merchant. Buy lindens opens the floater to let you buy lindens, the same as clicking on Buy Lindens on the right hand side of the menu. And Control P or clicking on Preferences will open your Preferences window. Toolbar Buttons opens the Toolbar Buttons floater where you can choose what buttons you see and you can drag them to wherever you want them. Profile opens your profile. Pics, this will open pics in your profile. This is needed if you use web profiles, for example, if you're a fan of them. Appearance opens the Appearance floater at My Outfits. This will be grayed out if you are a cloud. And Snapshot or Control-Shift-S will open your Snapshots floater. Inventory or Control-I will open your inventory. It'll open the first inventory window. If you want to open a second one, you can use Control-Shift-I. And Move Controls, this toggles the movement controls floater, which you can drag around and put up on your screen wherever you like them. Movement opens the Movement submenu, where you can set some different things. Sit down or Alt-Shift-S will sit your avatar down. Fly or the Home key, this toggles fly on or off. Always Run or Control-R toggles run on or off. And Force Ground Sit. Control-Alt-S, this forces your avatar into a ground sit regardless of where your avatar is. You can sit down in midair even. And then Phantom or Control-Alt-P. This locks your avatar in one place. Think of it as a basic move lock. Doesn't let others push you around you either by bumping into you or using objects. When you're in this mode, you cannot move with the normal control keys, however. Use the double-click teleport to get around. And we do have two special notes here. We do recommend a double-click teleport before you turn it off. And please do not attempt to teleport between sims while you're in Phantom mode. There's a very good chance it's going to fail. Quick jump is next. This disables the squat before you jump, as well as the default stagger when you land if you have no landing animation set. And then camera controls. This toggles the camera controls floater, which you can also drag around on your screen and put it where you like. Then avatar health. This opens the avatar health submenu. In here you're going to find stop avatar animations. You can use this to stop animations acting on your avatar. Force appearance update. Fancy new words for rebake. This rebakes your avatar's textures, usually. Reset default male avatar. This is character test male. This forces your avatar to the default Linden Lab male avatar. And reset default female avatar as character test female, forces your avatar to the default female avatar. The next one here, show render weight for avatars. This is the replacement for ARC, or avatar rendering cost. Shows the avatar draw weight. The calculation is totally different from the old ARC scores, and quite frankly, I haven't found a correlation between the old scores and the new. And lag meter opens a lag meter on your screen, which shows you where lag is coming from, supposedly. And last but not least, well, we have the Recreate LSL bridge. This creates a fresh copy of the LSL bridge. So if you ever find that you can't do a script counter, that your double-click teleport's not working, or you log in and you've got this, looks like a rock or giant egg attached to your midriff, you're going to want to come in here and click that. And then back in the main menu, we have the tip tracker. This shows a list of not only who last paid you, but who you paid as well. It only keeps track while it's open or minimized. Closing the floater will reset it. You can see that wiki link for more information on the tip tracker. It's actually a cool thing for DJs or people who accept tips on a regular basis. And welcome to Voice Checker. Upload opens the upload submenu, which allows you to choose what to upload. And your choices here are image, sound, and animation. All cost 10 lindens for each one. Mesh model. This is if you're uploading mesh. The cost for mesh depends on the complexity of the mesh. And then bulk. This is, for example, if you wanted to upload a dozen images or sounds, something like that. Still costs 10 lindens per file. We're in the avatar menu at the moment, Jakar, and class notes are available from the box at the front. Set default upload permissions will open a window where you can set the default permissions for all of your uploads. So you don't have to set them one by one. And last but not least, don't click it please, is exit Firestorm or Control Q. This closes the viewer. Are there any questions on the avatar menu? And since I see no one typing, I will take that as a no. And just as a heads up, if you do have questions while I'm talking, going through the class here, just throw them out into local chat in text, please. And we'll answer as quickly as we can. We're going to move on to the COM or Communicate menu. Right at the top we have Online Status. This opens the Online Status submenu where you can set yourself to being away. You can turn on your auto response by hitting auto respond. You can turn on your auto respond to non-friends, or you can set yourself to unavailable or busy. The downside of using unavailable, which is the new word for busy, is the fact that you don't get any inventory offers. They're automatically rejected. And then we have Friends or Control-Shift F. This opens the Friends tab in the Conversations window. And Contacts. Control-Alt-Shift F will open your contacts list in the Conversations window. And yes, we know they're the same. They just have not been, neither one of them have been removed. They do the same thing. They used to do something different, but changes in code meant they wound up doing the same thing again. And then we have Contact Sets, or Control-Alt-Shift-C. This will open the Contact Sets window. You can see that wiki link for more information, or you can come out to our Contact Sets class. If you don't know what Contact Sets are, Contact Sets provides a way to organize your friends list into sets to start with. Okay, so you could have business acquaintance, friends, SL family, whatever. It also allows you to selectively choose who you want to see online, offline notifications for, as well as color code, tags, chat, things like that. It's a very cool feature, and I highly recommend it. Groups, or Control-Shift-G, opens the Groups tab in the Conversation window. And Chat, or Control-H, opens the nearby Chat tab in the Conversations window. People opens the People panel. This is where your radar, the built-in radar is. Places opens the Places panel. That's where you'd find your teleport history. And Conversations, or Control-T, opens the Conversations window. Gestures, Control-G, opens your Gestures window. And please don't click this next one yet. Voice Filters. This opens the Voice Filters window. You will be disconnected from voice while this is open. Voice filters are, this is for the Linden Lab voice morphing subscription feature, which you have to pay for. If you've subscribed to it and you're using it, this is where you can pick the different filters that you want to use. And Nearby Voice opens the Nearby Voice window, formerly known as the Active Speakers list. Jakar, I'm not sure. I know that several people have complained about that. Whether it makes it into the next release, I'm not sure. Any other questions on the COM menu? Go for it, Hathor. Throw it out there, and I'll drink tea while you're typing. And thank you for allowing me to have another drink of tea. Yes, it is. No, right now we're only teaching Firestorm because, quite frankly, the Phoenix viewer is on V1 code, which is slowly but surely falling behind and is a nightmare to try to keep up to date. Although some of the things in the menus are similar in other viewers as well, but frankly, we can't teach a whole bunch of different viewers. We're very limited in the number of teachers that we have, actually. Yep. And if you're on an older release of, Firestorm, for example, some of the things have been moved around in the menus as well. It makes doing support very interesting. I'll ramble about that one in a few minutes. So let's take a look at the world menu next. In the world menu at the top, we have nearby avatars, or Control-Shift-A. This opens the nearby tab in the people window, also known as a radar. Just another way to get to your radar, folks. Have you noticed that there's multiple ways to do most things in the viewers these days? You know, snapshot, for example, you can do it through the menu, you can do it through a keyboard command, or you can have a button up on the screen. So, lots of choices. Depends on how you want to use the viewer. Minimap, or Control-Shift-M, opens your minimap. Exactly, Jakar. World map, or Control-M, opens your world map. Landmark this place creates a landmark at your location. Now, here's a tip for you. If you ever come in here and go to landmark this place, and it's grayed out, you have a landmark for that place already in your inventory. If you were to take a step back, a step forward, or to the side, just, move a meter or two, you'd see it light up again, and that lets you know that you actually do have a landmark for that spot that you were at. Location profile opens the places profile window. And parcel details. This opens the about land window, which is what most people are more used to. Linden Lab became very big on profiles. We have parcel location profiles. We have profiles for objects in our inventory now. Why, I'm not sure. Not really, Pry. You can create a swirl, for example. Okay. You can open that location on the map, and on the map there's a button there. You can copy a swirl. Yeah. Brian, if you wanted to have that, you could file a feature request Jira on our Jira. We already have that one? Okay. Well, in that case, Brian, you could vote for it. Okay, Hathor. On our Jira. Ask me after the class, Brian, I'll point you there, okay? Why can't you edit the coordinates of a landmark, Jakar? That, I believe, is Linden Lab code site. Region details is next. This opens the region or estate window, which is really only good for estate managers and owners. Buy this land opens the buy land window. If the land that you're on is not buyable or for sale, it will be grayed out. So, for example, if you're looking at it now in your menu, sorry, you can't buy the classroom. It's not for sale. Show owned land opens the owned land window, which shows any land that you own that you've bought from Linden Lab. And show more. This is one you may want to remember. This opens the show more submenu, where you can choose to show band lines, beacons, which is Control-Alt-Shift-N, property lines, landowners, coordinates, parcel permissions. So some of that will show up in the location in the menu bar if you have it set up there. Others show up on the land itself. And last but not least is advanced menu or Control-Alt-Shift-D. If you do not have the advanced menu up on your menu bar at the moment, please enable it now so that it's there when we get there. What's a beacon? A beacon, you've gone places using a landmark dry where you see a big red line, and there's a little arrow pointing towards it on your screen. That's a beacon. There are various forms of beacon. You can set beacons to show sound sources, scripted objects, a bunch of different things. You're quite welcome. Back in the main menu here, we have Teleport Home, or Control-Shift-H teleports you home. Set home to here will set your home location to the point that you're at if you have the rights to do so. And then sun position. This opens the sun position submenu where you can set the sun position to sunrise, midday, sunset, midnight, and estate time. You'll note that we now have keyboard shortcuts for sunrise, midday, sunset, and midnight. And then we have the environment editor. This opens the environment editor submenu, where you can click on the environment settings, water presets, sky presets, and day presets. This is straight from Linden Lab Code. There's a link to the Second Life knowledge base about the environment settings. And the last thing here in the world menu is area search. This opens the area search window, which is very handy for finding things if you've been editing something. You know, I think we've all done it. We're editing something and all of a sudden it's gone off your screen and you can't see it anymore. If you know the name of the object, you can type it in here, and well, it may take a little while to show up and you may have to walk around a little bit. It will find those things for you. Any questions on the world menu? And not seeing any typing, so I'm just going to carry on. And we're going to go through the build menu. Build opens the builder edit window, which you can do by clicking the build button or various other ways. And then we have select build tool, opens the build tool submenu where you can select the focus tool, the move tool, the edit tool, the create tool, and the land tool. You're going to notice in here a lot of things grayed out because you can't build here. And I should mention this, if you see things that are grayed out, they're either not available to you because you don't have permissions, or because you're not doing something that requires them on. Link, or Control L, will link multiple prims that you have selected, and unlink will unlink prims in a link set that you have selected. Edit linked parts allows you to edit individual prims in a link set. The same thing as you can do in the build menu itself by clicking on Edit Linked Parts checkbox. Select Linked Parts opens the Select Linked Parts submenu where you can choose Select Next Part, Select Previous Part, Include Next Part, Include Previous Part. That's correct, Jaka. Multiple places again. Different ways of doing things. Some people prefer working through the menu. I actually know somebody that prefers building through the menu for the most part. I don't understand that myself, but you know, each to your own, right? Focus on selection, or H, will focus your camera on an object that you have selected. Zoom to selection, or Shift H, will zoom your camera in on an object that you have selected. And then Object. This opens the Object submenu that allows you to take a copy, duplicate, edit particles, save back to inventory, save back to object contents, and return the object. Next comes the scripts in the main build menu. This opens the scripts submenu. This is also a handy one to remember. Here you can choose to recompile scripts as mono, recompile them as LSL. This is the one most people will use, reset scripts, set scripts to running, and set scripts to not running. That's why scripts is a handy one to remember. Options opens the options submenu, where you can show advanced permissions. See, show up in the edit window. You can choose to select only my objects, and you can choose to select only movable objects. That's correct, Jakar. Or permissions. Now, to select only my objects and select only movable objects, if you have edit rights on somebody's things, somebody's objects, your friend, for example, wanted you to edit something for them and gave you rights, if you ever happen to go into edit mode on them and you cannot get it up, please check in here. There's a very good chance that you have select only my objects enabled. There are times when you want to select only your objects. There are times when you want to not select only your objects. You can choose select by surrounding and show selection outlines. This one's a little misunderstood. This puts an outline around an object that you select. Note that you are causing yourself local lag if you are showing selection outlines, because it's more to render on your screen. Show hidden selection, same as Control-Alt-T. Well, sort of, kind of. Show light radius for selection. If it's a light source, it will show the light radius. Show selection beam. You can enable your selection beam here or turn it off. You have snap to grid, snapped object, XY to grid, use selection for grid, and then you have your grid options. And then we have upload. This opens the upload submenu where you can choose what to upload. And wait a minute, I already went through all this in the avatar menu. Yes, it's here twice. Just different places. This is one people look for a lot, so it's in multiple places in the viewer. Then we have undo or control Z, and yes, I said Z, I'm Canadian, that's the way we say it. It's not a Z, it's a Z. This will undo the last changes you've made in the edit or build window on an object, except for textures. This will not revert textures. Position, rotation, resize, they can all be undone using this command. But not textures. If you retexture something, let's hope you have the original texture in your inventory. And redo or Control Y will redo the last changes that you made with the undo command. And last but not least in the build menu is the local bitmap browser. This opens the local bitmap browser. This is handy for those of you making textures and working on them. For example, if you were to be trying to texture a trim and you're not quite happy with it, and rather than doing multiple uploads, either paid for or temp uploads, you can, using the local bitmap browser, make the changes to the texture on your computer, save it, and it will automatically be applied on the object that you've put the texture on in world. It's a very cool feature for those of you that do things like that. Any questions on the build menu? And I'll take the lack of typing as a no. And we're going to move on to the content menu. Nobody blink. Okay. Search or Control F opens the search window. SL Marketplace prompts you to open the Marketplace web page. Linden Dollar Market Data prompts you to open the Linden Dollar Market Data web page. And Script Library prompts you to open the Script Library web page. That's it. That's all that's in content. So let's move on to my favorite menu, the Help menu. Enable Viewer UI hints right at the very top, and enables the hints that are available in the user interface. Think first time use. You have Linden's. This is your inventory. The next one, the Firestorm Wiki, or F1. This prompts you to open the Firestorm Wiki page. We have a lot of documentation there and a troubleshooting section that has answers to most of the problems that people experience. If you're on a Mac or a laptop, you may need to use FN F1. If some software is mapping your keyboard, F1 may not work for you. However, I can't say enough about our wiki. We do have a class, the Introduction to Firestorm and Wiki class that we teach, that we go into details on where to find things in the wiki, how to search the wiki effectively. Highly recommended. Check grid status is next. This prompts you to open the grid status web page. Handy if you're having an issue and you want to know if it's been reported to Linden Lab. Report abuse opens the abuse report window where you can file an abuse report. Don't use this if someone insults you. If you're being griefed or consistently harassed, yeah, but if somebody just says, hey, you got an ugly avatar, that's not an abuse report thing, folks. Report bug. I need to reword this section. This opens our wiki page. Brian, this one applies to what you were asking about earlier. This opens in the internal browser right now. This shows you how to file a bug report. However, our JIRA is not just for bug reports. Improvement requests, feature requests, and support requests are also all handled on our JIRA. The next one here, enable sysinfo button. This enables a button in IM Windows that lets you send your sysinfo to anyone. This one's personal taste. That one was actually put in before the support team had our support tools built in, which I'm about to tell you about. The next one is about Firestorm. This opens the Firestorm window, which shows your sysinfo as well as the credits and licensing information. Team members, and only team members, have the ability to ping you for the sysinfo in an IM. We basically type in a request. You'll see it in your IM window, and you get a little pop-up dialogue saying they'd like your information. Will you send it or not? And you get the choice. If you do get a request to send it, please do so, as that information can help solve your problems. You get to see the same information we do. It shows up in the IM window. Any questions on the help menu before we move on to the advanced menu, where it's about to get interesting? No? Alright, so advanced menu, hopefully you have it up. Control-Alt-D brings it up on the menu bar if you don't already have it. And we're going to start off. Please use the advanced menu with caution. Right at the top we have rebake textures, or Control-Alt-R, for system appearance update. This is also in the avatar menu, avatar health submenu. Set the UI size to default. This will revert the UI size to default if you've changed it in preferences on the user interface tab. the UI scaling. You can, in some cases, get your UI size set too big so that you can't click the cancel or apply button. This will let you get it back. Set window size allows you to set the window size. And then limit select distance. This will limit your select distance to about 50 meters. This is another one of those, well, sometimes you may want it on, sometimes you may want it off. It depends on what you're doing. Disable camera constraints. This allows your camera to zoom out more. Handy and actually recommended by me. High-res snapshots enables high-res snapshots. Quiet snapshots to disk. This disables the snapshot animation, you know, where your hands come up in front of your face, you get that silly grin on your face, and then you hear the click whir. This gets rid of all of that. Performance tools. This opens the performance tools submenu, where you can enable the lag meter, the statistics bar, which by the way is a very handy thing to use for troubleshooting. Preferences, user interface. There's a slider there for UI scaling right at the top, Jakar. And you can, again, we have show render wait for avatars is in here. Next here we have the highlighting and visibility. This opens the highlighting and visibility submenu where you can choose beacons, hide particles, hide selected, highlight transparent, show or hide your HUD attachments, and show mouse look crosshairs. Okay, so by now you're thinking, why am I going to be having to be cautious in here? Okay, do you remember where I told you at the beginning of the class how to detach these menus and submenus? Hopefully you've detached the advanced menu already. You missed that, Jakar. If you click on the advanced menu, you'll see right at the top there's a set of double lines. There's a double line right at the very top of the menu. Hover your cursor over it to highlight it and click on it, and it will detach. And you can drag it around on your screen, and when you click on something, it's not going to disappear. Okay? Alright. So hopefully you've detached the advanced menu. And then the next thing we're going to talk about in here is the render types. This opens the rendering types submenu, and I would ask you to detach that one. You'll see, if you click on rendering types, you'll see the double lines at the top. Click on those double lines and detach it, and it'll move around. And I'm going to run through this, and then we're going to play for a second. We have simple, alpha, tree, avatars, surface patch, sky, water, ground, volume, grass, clouds, particles, and bump. Okay? So if you've detached the rendering type submenu, let's play. Let's say, for example, let's click on alpha. So they're all checked to start with. Click on alpha. Anything that's alpha disappears. Click on avatars. Any avatars or things that they're sitting on will disappear. Click on volume. Anything other than avatars is going to disappear. You get the idea? Okay. This is why we say, please use the advanced menu with caution. And it's also why we go to the extreme of saying, detach the menus. We actually go over that in pretty much every class we do. So, moving on, you can recheck all those boxes and close that submenu out now. Rendering features opens the rendering features submenu. Don't click on anything, please. Not until after I'm done talking here. UI or Control-Alt F1. Selected, highlighted, dynamic textures, foot shadows, fog, test FR info, frame rate info is what that is, and flexible objects. Okay. Similar to the previously mentioned one, things will disappear. Okay, you don't like the foot shadows that you normally see, you can disable them. Okay. However, the top one there, Control-Alt F1, that gets rid of your user interface. So if you click on that and you don't remember Control-Alt F1, you're SOL, because your menus will be gone, all your buttons will be gone, all the user interface just goes away. So if you're going to use that, I recommend having Control-Alt F1 tattooed to the inside of your eyelids. Well, no, not really. That would be very, very painful, wouldn't it? But, yeah, remember Control-Alt F1, please. Back in the main advanced menu, we have Use Plugin Read Thread. This uses a separate thread to read incoming messages from plugins. So in theory, this should give you a slight performance increase if you have a multi-core processor and are using the internal web browser or playing QuickTime videos using search, things like that. Anything that uses a plugin, with this enabled, it's going to shift to a different core using a different thread. Okay. Clear group cache will clear your group cache, pretty immaterial because your group cache gets cleared on every login. Mouse smoothing should help smooth your mouse movement a little bit, your cursor movement on the screen a little bit. And release keys. This will detach or unseat you from scripted objects which affect your avatar's movement controls. This includes being unseated from vehicles or any scripted furniture, actually. Okay. Shortcuts will open the shortcuts submenu. And this one's just basically got a whole bunch of shortcuts in it. I find it humorous that the Show Advanced menu shortcut is shown in the advanced menu. I find that rather funny. Close window, Control W. Close all windows, Control Shift W are good ones. Mouse look, joystick fly cam, reset your view, look at last chatter. Zoom in, Control 0. Zoom default, Control 9, and zoom out, which is Control 8. These last three on the submenu should be remembered as they are the best way to work on small prims, and they're also the best way to reset your camera. Group cache. Group cache is basically it just lists the members in the groups, is what it does. So if you clear your group cache, if you open a group and the group member list loads for you, but it doesn't look quite right, you can clear your group cache and open it again, and it will have to reload. Fly override is next, or Control-Alt-V. This allows flight in no-fly areas. This is not recommended, and it is not persistent across logins. Restrained Love API. This enables or disables RLV. This is also in Preferences, Firestorm, General subtab, allows scripted viewer controls. Show debug settings. This will open the debug menu window. Use your debugs with caution. If you make changes in the debug settings, be sure to write them down so that you can remember what you changed, please. It's even more important for the debug menus than anywhere else in the viewer. Show Develop menu, or Control-Alt-Q, shows or hides the Develop menu on the menu bar. And you may want to click on that now because we're briefly going to go over the Develop menu. Very briefly. Are there any other questions on the Advanced menu? And no typing, so let's do the develop menu. We're only going to focus on a few items here, as the rest will never be needed by the average user. As a matter of fact, a lot of things in here are never going to be needed by anyone that's not a developer. Okay? Please use and/or experiment in here with caution. There are some cool things in here, and there are some things that get asked for regularly. Consoles opens the console submenu. You don't know what consoles are? You don't have to worry about it. Show info. This opens the show info submenu. Show color under cursor is one that does get asked for quite a bit in here. There's some other cool ones in there. The show time will show you the amount of time that you've been logged in text on your screen, for example. Force an error opens the force an error submenu. Do you really want to force an error on your machine? That's why it's basically only good for developers. Render tests opens the render test submenu, again, for devs mainly. The render metadata one opens the render metadata submenu. I suggest playing around in this one at some point. There's some things that do some cool things in here. We don't have time for them during the class. I do plan on doing a separate little thing with the cool things that you can find in the develop menu in the future. Rendering opens the rendering submenu. Network opens the network submenu. Again, most of these things are really only good for developers, people working on bugs. Dump scripted camera does just that. And then we have bumps, pushes, and hits. And why this is hidden in the develop menu, I have no idea. This will show you who has bumped, pushed, or hit you, either with their avatar or a scripted object, unless you're on a damage-enabled sim. Because on a damage-enabled sim, all bets are off. Recorder opens the recorder submenu. This actually records your movement, which you can play back if you want. It's not a video recorder. And world opens the world submenu. The one in here that you might want to use on occasion if you're having an issue is the dump region object cache. UI opens the UI submenu. XUI opens the XUI submenu. Avatar, the avatar submenu. HTTP textures. This enables HTTP textures. This is also available in your preferences on the graphics rendering subtab. Some people need HTTP textures on, some need it off, and there's no way of telling you which you need. HTTP inventory. This uses the HTTP protocol to fetch inventory. This is recommended for the majority of people. If you are having inventory loading issues, and you've tried all the normal things, you know, opening your inventory when you first log in, go to the recent tab, click the expand and collapse buttons to try to get everything to fetch. If you're still having problems, then you may want this off, but for the most part, leave it on. Compress images is coming back. Your output debug mini dump, you don't want to know. Console window on next run will open a console window on your next login, and some people will say, I don't know what I did, but I've got this DOS box, just window full of text on my screen. And if I close it, the viewer closes. Well, they've enabled the console window. So you have to disable it. And it does require a relog to turn it on or off. The next one here, set logging level. This allows you to select the level of logging the viewer will use. Okay. Please do not, and note that it's stressed in text and on voice, change anything in here unless you're asked to by a developer or a support team member, as it can have a huge effect on your performance. And by huge, I mean you're going to think you're in lag city. It's like walking through molasses. And then we've got request admin status, leave admin status, and show admin menu. If you don't know what they are, you don't need them. And if you know what they are, you already know how to get to them. And basically, that's it, folks. That's our menus class. I'd like to thank you both. I'd like to thank you personally for taking the time to come out to this class, and on behalf of the Phoenix team as well, for using our viewers. You, the users, are the reason that our viewers are as popular as they are. And my personal thanks for coming and spending the time to learn about our menus. So thank you, thank you. And thank you, Jakar. We've got the best users ever. We truly do. Brian, you're quite welcome. I can't stress it enough. It's huge for us that you come out to these classes, that you take the time.